Okay. Awesome. Again, appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate your time, and appreciate you being here connected. A lot of people can be doing whatever else, anything else, instead of being here educating themselves and receiving value. And what I have for you guys tonight is something that I prepared with the intention of you guys to understand the value of faith and how fear can paralyze anybody. All right. So it's today for me, it's tonight for you guys. It's just depending on where we are. But I want to share my screen with you because the training that I have for you guys today is going to be something that I think you're going to like a lot. And please let me know with a number 2 in the chat if you can see my screen. Number 2 in the chat if you can see my screen, please. And we'll get this started, right? This mindset, Monday mindset, right? Okay, awesome to see you guys put number 2s in the chat. Perfect. All right, let's get this started. I want to talk about this because it's a very crucial topic, and it's a topic that I like a lot because I've been in both sides of faith and fear, right? And I want you guys to understand that these two things are the exact same thing, but opposite. All right. Why? Because it's a matter of feeling, right? Faith and fear are equal. They both require you to believe in something that you cannot see. All right. It's the same thing, but it's opposite. When we're faithful, we're believing that something great is going to happen. We don't see it, we don't know it yet, but we know somehow, or we're convinced that it's going to happen. Right? Same thing with fear. A lot of times we fear a lot of things. We don't know what it is. We don't know the outcome, but we convince ourselves that something negative is going to happen, which we don't know. Okay, so when we understand that they are the same thing, we have the capacity to turn either one of them or either any situation into faith or into fear. We turn anything to positive, we can turn anything into negative, right? Because it's up to us. It's up to me. I control the way that I face things. I don't control anything outside of how I behave, how I react, how I face challenges, how I confront life, right? Because there's always going to be situations, circumstances, but there's always going to be an option for me to decide and determine if the outcome of the present situation is going to be positive or it's going to be negative. Why? Because the way I think is the way I'm going to be feeling, and the way that I feel towards something is the way that I'm going to act when that situation or circumstance is going on. And that's going to determine the results that I'm going to get, right? So the way you think is the way you feel, and the way you feel produces your actions, and the way you act and the actions you take produce the result that you are getting. Okay, so drop a number 3 in the chat if that makes sense. All right, thoughts turns into feelings turns into actions, and actions are the ones that produce your result, right? And it's important to know that we act the way we feel, right? If you feel happy, you act in a certain way. If you feel overwhelmed, you act in a certain way. If you feel sad, you act in a certain way. So how can we change our results? It all starts with the first step. Remember, it's 4 steps: thinking, feeling, acting, and then results. If I want to change my results, it all starts with changing the way that I think. Okay, so yeah, I see numbers in the chat. Number 3, perfect. All right, awesome. So now I want to show you guys something, right? I want you guys to understand, obviously, that this is the same but opposite. And they pull to one side, one pulls to the right, the other one pulls to the right, to the left. One pulls you up, the other one pulls you down, right? So you decide where you want situations to take you based on how you interpret it. But the point is that fear is keeping you poor, right? It's when you feel stuck. It's when you don't know what's going on, and it's what doesn't allow you to take action. So if you're taking notes right now, write it down. Fear causes paralysis, right? It keeps you frozen, it keeps you stuck. Therefore, it keeps you poor. And when I say poor, I'm not necessarily talking about your finances, even though yes, right? But I'm talking also about anything in life, about not achieving the things you want, not having the lifestyle that you want, not accomplishing the goals you want to accomplish, right? Why? Because we're scared. So being poor equals being stuck, right? If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. If you're not growing, you're dying. Okay, so be mindful and choose carefully between fear and faith, right? We always have the opportunity in front of every situation. Any business opportunity, for example, you can take a look at it as I'm afraid of losing X amount of money, or I have faith that I'm gonna be able to make X amount of money. See, the feeling is different. If I'm afraid of losing, most likely I'm gonna end up losing. But if I'm excited and I have faith that I'm gonna win, most likely I'm gonna end up winning, right? Because when I have faith and times get tough, then I'm gonna have the opportunity to stay positive, stay driven. Quitting is not gonna be an option because I have faith, right? And that's gonna take me to do the actions that determine the results, right? So I want you to ask yourself the question: what would you do if you were not afraid about anything in life, right? What would you do right now if it wasn't for fear? Like if failing was not an option, what would you do right now? If you were not afraid of losing something, of anything, of failure, right? What would you do? That's gonna allow you to think. Like this is gonna make you think. What would you do right now if it wasn't for fear? Right? What would you do right now if it wasn't for fear? Write it down in a piece of paper. Write it down in your notes, because it's a really good question. That's something that I ask myself a lot of times when I'm facing a situation, when I need to make a decision. I like to think, and it can be scary sometimes. I like to think, okay, if I wasn't scared of this, what would I do? Would I take it? Would I don't take it? Would I do it? Would I don't do it? If it wasn't for fear? Because once you understand that fear keeps you poor, and fear is the opposite than faith, and we know faith has a positive outcome, then I know fear is negative. Okay. And if I'm scared, I know that I'm living and I'm thinking from a negative perspective of fear. When I'm able to recognize that, then I tell myself, all right, I'm scared of this, so I'm vibrating from a negative frequency. What would I do if it wasn't for fear? Because I don't want negativity to impact my decisions, right? So what would I really do? Would you invest in it? Would you buy it? Would you go for it? Would you not go for it? So that makes your decisions be more objective, right? So focus on faith, forget about fear, right? Use fear to be more aware of your surroundings, your opportunities, and everything, right? So I want to give you a little bit more clarity, because I want to show you what fear does to you and where it comes from, and how we can have more awareness of how to handle fear, right? Because usually fear comes from, it depends on where you are, and it depends on what you're doing. It depends on many factors, but fear comes from the perceived negative judgments from people you don't even talk to. All right. A lot of times we don't do things because we're afraid of what other people are gonna think of us, right? We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of criticism, and that's the truth. I mean, people don't talk to you, don't think of you as much as you think. People are very worried about thinking about themselves. So one big factor about fear is that, right? We think that other people are going to judge us negatively when that might not be the case. And if it's the case, so be it, right? We need to go for our goals, and we need to go achieve what we really want to achieve from a place of faith, from a place of positivity instead of negativity and fear. All right. So we also fear other people's opinions, right? About ourselves, about our views, about our vision, about anything, about our dreams, about our goals, other people's opinion. Fear, there's a lot of fear coming from that. Okay. So I want you guys to take a look at those first two, right? Because it's got to do a lot of other people with a lot of other people's opinions about yourself, about situations, about things, right? So another one that I really like is how we, and when I tell you these things, I want you guys to internalize and think of how we can exaggerate so much little situations that probably have not much relevance into a huge deal. So small situation maximized to huge deals. Fear comes from that, and that's self-inflicted. We cause fear in ourselves, and we got to be aware of those, right? When you have fear, when you're not having the clarity, or you're not making the decision of something, ask yourself, am I exaggerating this? Am I increasing the relevance of this deal into a huge deal? I would say the majority of the times that's the case. Okay, so be mindful of that. Criticism, we kind of touched on that a little bit. It's kind of it has to do with other people's opinions as well, right? They all have them. Everybody has an opinion of you. Okay, but sometimes we face direct criticism where people actually tell you, hey, I don't like this, or I don't think you should do this, I don't think you should do that. All of that drives some fear into you, but it's irrelevant. In my opinion, it's not relevant, right? But it's always good to be aware of where it comes from so that we can actually manage it in a better way. Now, fear comes from focusing on the negative results instead of the positive. Okay, a lot of times we're thinking negatively. Us as human beings are programmed to think negative. Why? Because we need to protect ourselves. We need, as animal species that we are, we're always focused on protecting from the negative, the bad that's around us. But now, when as we have been evolving as human beings, as species, and become smarter, now we need to identify that and start focusing on the positive. Right? This is not 10,000 years ago. We're not hunters. We're not necessarily depending on our instincts to defend ourselves from animals that want to eat humans and all that. But we're in a different age. We're in an age that we can have the awareness of making a decision based on a positive result, based on what makes you happy, based on what it is you really want. Okay, so when we focus on the positive instead of the negative, we eliminate the fear factor, and we already talked, the fear drives you to the negative side. So it's important to know where it comes from so that you understand, am I thinking about this from a place of fear, or am I thinking about this from a place of faith? Okay, am I being negative about it? Am I being positive about it? And now I want to talk to you guys about the reality. Okay, the reality is that around 95% of the things we worry about never happen. And think of it, how many times we've been worrying about something and that never happens. A lot of times, right? We worry about stuff that is not relevant at all, and it ends up never happening. Okay, we worry so much about what other people might think of us, when in reality they're not even thinking of us. All right, like I said a couple minutes ago, we are thinking about ourselves. Like right now you're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about somebody else. You're not thinking about the dress that she wore for the wedding or things like that. I mean, our most important person is got to be ourselves. And it is, right? If you pay close attention, you might judge somebody else every now and then. You might do it frequently. You might not do it frequently. But we as human beings are focused on how people think of us way more than focus ourselves on how we perceive somebody else. So think about that. We worry so much about what other people think of us when in reality, they're not even thinking us. And that's important for you to know. People are not caring about you or what you do as much as you think they are. Now, everybody, like I said, is going to have an opinion of you, including you. So make yours be the most important one, right? My opinion of me is the most important opinion about me that I'm going to find out there. Why? Because I made the decision of saying, hey, if everybody's going to have an opinion of me, then I want my opinion of me being the most important opinion about me. All right? I need that. We all need that as human beings, as people who want to do better, as people who want to escape from that fear mentality, go into faith, achieve something greater than our current situations. We need to know that your opinion of you, the opinion that you have of yourself, your self-image is going to determine the outcome, right? And that's got to be the most important opinion about you. Not what I think, not what anybody else thinks of you, but what you think about you. All right? Let me know. Put a number 7 in the chat if that makes sense, because that's really, really important. Okay? Your opinion, I want from now on that you internalize the thinking of your opinion of you is going to be the most important opinion that anybody can have about you. Okay? So consider that, because that's reality. I mean, all right, see number 7's awesome. Perfect. Now, I want you to think of something, right? I want you to think of the thing that you wrote down that you want the most, that you would do if you were not afraid. The thing that you really want to achieve, accomplish, whatever it is, freedom, wealth, a new house, a new car, whatever the case may be, right? If you're not afraid, will you do it or not? And I always encourage people to take action, right? Try new things, start a new business, jump into that conversation, go into that relationship, right? Build relationships with people all over the world, around your community. Why? Because always, the biggest regrets of human beings when they're dying, when they're laying down about to pass away at 90 years old, 80 some years old, 70 years old, is what if I had done it? What if I hadn't said no? What if I had taken the chance, right? Nobody really regrets the things that they've done, because the things that we've done make us be who we are. And us as human beings tend to like the way we are, right? Some people don't like the way they are, but would they have act differently? Sometimes, yes. But a lot of the regrets are, why didn't I try this? Why am I gonna die and never know what would have happened with my life, with my future, with my family, with my current situation if I had done something different when I was young, right? So taking action, trying new things, taking risk as well, being willing to lose is the best way to learn how to win. Okay, so always be willing to lose, always be willing to risk, always be willing to take action, try new things, because you want to avoid regretting for the rest of your life what would have been if I had done X, right? So whatever you're going through right now, whatever it is you're facing, always take that into consideration. So I hope you guys received value tonight. It was a short one, but I wanted you guys to really consider this scenario, because when you understand that faith is equal to fear, it's easier to make a decision on what way you're gonna focus. You're gonna focus that way to fear, or you're gonna focus this way to faith, right? Every situation gives you the choice to take that way or that way. Which one are you gonna choose? Right? So if you got value, put number 9 in the chat if this was useful to you guys, if you received value with this. And appreciate you all, man. That's great having you guys here. It's great sharing with you guys all about faith and fear. We're gonna go more in depth eventually, right? We're gonna keep doing this Monday mindset calls, and for sure adding more value. So to me, it's been a pleasure being here, and I'm glad to connect with you guys. Let me stop this real quick. All right, cool. And